Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Are You Being Loved Up by You? So we've had a really interesting week since we last met. I mean, it was Veterans Day yesterday, but last week was the election. I mean, it was nuts. We didn't know who was going to win. We didn't know what was happening, but it all happened, right? And yeah, I won't comment on it further. I'll leave my personal opinions out of it. But let's just say I'm feeling good. We'll leave it at that. So tonight's guest is somebody really wonderful. Her name is Myrdith Leon-McCormack, and she is a force to be reckoned with. Let me tell you about this woman. She is determined. She's tenacious. In fact, I don't even know if she knows how to say the word no. I mean, yeah, she just gets it done. You want something done, you call Myrdith. She gets it done. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Myrdith McCormack.
Hi, my beloved, all the way from Brooklyn, New York City. We missed you here. I missed you being my neighbor.
I know, but thank God for Zoom. Thank God for this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be connected. And we're always connected. We're always connected.
We are. Thank God for social media. That's one of the good things about social media. It keeps us all in the know of what we're each doing for each other and what's going on. So I know you're safe. I know you're doing hot things and bringing joy.
That's what I do. So my love, I wanted to just say to you, please tell the audience a little bit about where you're from and where you live.
Okay. So I am born in Haiti, and my birth certificate says Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So I'm not making that up. And I've been here since I was 6 years old. And we came here straight to Brooklyn. And although we lived in Queens and I dabbled in different areas of New York and around the world, Brooklyn is my home, and I feel very connected to Brooklyn. It is one of the most amazing spaces, and to see the creativity that comes out of it, I'm honored to be called a Brooklynite, you know.
Okay, and how long have you been in Brooklyn from birth?
I'm 51, so let's count backwards since I was 6. Forever.
Okay. Hold on one moment. Ade, I'm being told we're not live. Just keep going. Just keep rolling. Okay, just going to keep rolling. What's going on? All right, my love. So my favorite question, because this is about the joy of connection, my favorite question is, how did we connect? Do you remember?
Oh, it's my love story with you. I believe that's when I had my bridal salon, Marjan. I know it is, in fact, on St. Mark's Avenue in Brooklyn. And you came in with, I believe, your cousin. Was it Gwen? Her name Gwen?
I think it was my friend Kim.
Okay, Kim. Right. It was Kim, your best friend. She was getting married, and we designed her wedding dress for her. And you created your maid of honor dress for you. And you and I became friends. And then I think the love story continued forever. And when you moved away to England, I was completely devastated. But the beauty about it is, you knew I had just started World Bride magazine, and you would shove it in your bag and take tons of it and take World Bride magazine to England. And so I was in 2 places in the very beginning, in the US and in England, thanks to you, you know? That's our love story.
I'm a connector. I love sharing and caring and making sure that people know that other people are doing great things, because sometimes word of mouth is the best way, even though we have social media. So, you know.
Oh, and we didn't even have social media. We didn't have social media down there. So if if I didn't physically go to England, I would have never gotten the magazine there. So it took you know, the love and the commitment and the relationship that we had, for you to see that there was something about the magazine that you felt it was valuable enough to share in that region for me. And so for that, I'm always eternally grateful to you for.
Oh, thank you. So I have a question for you. Do you know what the expression being loved up means?
Well, it can mean different things for different people at different times of the day or evening. But in general, I see being loved up as literally being loved up. I can't love you if I don't love myself first. You know, I can't give you, you know, from an empty glass if I myself am not full. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important that being loved up is I've learned to accept my flaws, my good, my bad, my imperfections, as much as I love the wonderful things about myself, that now that I want to share it with the world, my friends, the people that surround me, my community, whoever that is, you know? So to me, loved up, it means different things to different people, and it will always, it's a constant evolution. It's always going to evolve. It's always going to change, you know?
Okay, so let me ask you something. Just looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get this right. We've already mentioned World Bride magazine a few times, but I just want to know what, to me, it's your passion. It's been something you've been passionate about for a very long time. And I'd love you to tell the viewers a little bit about what it is and how you birthed it, why you birthed it, and how long it took you to take it from birth to childhood, maybe adulthood. Are we at adulthood yet? Can you just kind of take us on a short trip along that version?
Yeah. I've been in the fashion industry for 30 years. So I started out in the fashion industry as a celebrity manicurist, and I really mean celebrity. My first entry into the fashion industry, I was pulled in, introduced first by Deborah Hairbay, who's my hairstylist, and she literally had her Red's Creative Art Salon, and she would entertain and do the hair of some of the top editors. And one of the editors, Diane Hendy, at that time would come and get her hair braided at her salon, and I gave her manicure and pedicure. And she loved it, wrote a little snippet about us, the salon and everything else. And then one day I was bold enough to ask her and say, hey, I'd love to come into the industry, and can I do nails? Can I buy, no, I'm sorry. I said, can I buy advertisement? Because I want to get more customers. She goes, girl, you can't afford it. And I was like, oh. She says, but what I will do is we need a manicure so you can come on set and you can start doing manicures. So the first set of manicures that I did was for the singing group back then, For Real. And so we did their nails, and all of a sudden I was open into this amazing world. But it was Black Elegance magazine at that time. Then it went from Black Elegance magazine to Spanish Vogue, Italian Vogue, Cosmo, Glamour. I met Peter Brown there, and Peter Brown took me under his wing on one of the shoots, and he opened up a plethora of doors. But what I saw that it was missing was there was a lack of diversity within the beauty industry that I was passionate about. And yet there was Black people there that were geniuses, from the Sam Fines, from Rodney Love Jones, all of them. I worked with them, but the Black beauties, things were so segregated. And so I wanted to create a magazine, but I didn't want to compete with the already bigger names. So I said, why don't I create something that will be recession-proof as it can be, and it's not competitive and it's not there. So I answered the need of a market where there was no diversity. There was no, if you saw a Black bride on a magazine, it was on the cover of a Black magazine. But to see all of was integrated, it was not happening. Or you would see a couple of Black celebrities, and that would be the only way a Black woman would be seen. So for me, it was important to do that. And then I got tired of hearing the stories that Black girls, Black women don't get married, Black men don't love, there's no Black families, and I had to change it. But at the same time, in all my travels, I knew Black people weren't only limited to Africa and the Caribbean and in the US. And I was like, no, it's a global thing. So I created World Bride magazine to show that how connected we all are in this life, and we all want the same thing: love, life, family, and happiness, you know? So that's how World Bride magazine came to life.
And you know what? I just want to interject for a minute, because Gwen Cover's just made a really important message for you, saying, "Hi, Myrdith."
I love Gwen. Gwen, I miss you, darling.
For giving me the opportunity to write a few weddings travel vlogs for your magazine a few years ago. Woohoo!
Yes.
So, yes.
The sisterhood.
Sisterhood. Yes, that's what it's about. And you know what, Myrdith? I think what's really great is if people get online and take a look at your magazine, they'll see that it's not a black-white thing, it's a diverse thing. And what's really amazing is you've done shoots in Africa, in the Middle East, in the Caribbean, in Europe. I mean, you name it, you've kind of done it. So it's great. And what I love most about what you've done is sort of the brides, you look at it from an ethnic perspective. So they're not necessarily wearing traditional European bridal costume. They're wearing whatever's native to wherever they're from. And it's so beautiful and so enriching to see that. It's just gorgeous. So I commend you for bringing that to the table.
Thank you. And that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to change the narrative that everything had to be black, white, European or Western and Eastern and, African. Like, I noticed in fashion, creativity was open to everybody. So why were we so disconnected when it came to culture? And me celebrating my Haitian roots doesn't exclude your your Jamaican roots, or it doesn't separate us, but in fact, it brings us all together. And that's the one thing we all have in common is love, So why can't that be reflective in the content that was created? And I felt that there was that big void, and we kept it going. And I knew I was ahead, but I didn't know how far ahead I was, because the magazine now, I think it's 22 years old. So for me now, we're talking about diversity and inclusion. But now you must do it, or the survival, we won't go get through this life anymore. I don't think our children are going to allow that anymore, because I think our kids are sick of the mess that we've made. And they're like, I have black, white, Spanish friends, Asian friends, so they're fine. It's us that has to get over ourselves.
Exactly. You know what? I just want to mention that I've got quite a few people commenting. So sorry if I'm looking away, but you're in a lot of comments. Well done, Myrdith. We're all connected. Denise Harris is saying, Eva saying, brilliant. So let me see if I can scroll up a bit. Gwen said, you certainly changed the narrative, girl. Love is our connection. Yvonne, who is here in England, also says good evening to you.
Good evening.
And everyone, thank you for tuning in and listening, because Myrdith's got a great story. And Azor's the son, my stylist who does my hair, her name's Michelle.
I love it.
Michelle's on, and Michelle,
I love it. Thank you. I love your hair. I'm a braid girl. I just gave my hair a break for the moment, but this mohawk is usually.
Look, it just looks so sunny. Go ahead.
Off. My son did it because my son is getting into the grooming and the beauty industry like me, my son and my daughter. So my son is my barber.
Okay. Cost effective and good.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, coming back to, and thank you so much for sharing your journey. I'm sorry, I meant to say that because it's a really important one for a lot of young women and younger women that will be looking up to somebody like you, somebody that can aspire to be like a Black woman starting her own magazine on her own. No one's paid into it. No one's helped you. You've done it from the beginning. It's a great story. And I'm looking forward to reading your book when you finally write it.
Really. Tell me about this book.
We're going to have to work on that with you. That's next. But coming back to the subject a little bit of what we're talking about tonight, I just wanted to ask you, do you have a spiritual practice or ritual that you do on a daily or weekly basis?
Yes, I do. And I want to get a little bit more routine about it because sometimes I'll slip, I'll let anxiety take me down the wrong path because I take things back into my hand. When I wake up in the morning, I used to do this before the pandemic. And then 2 years into 2018, I made a commitment that I will no longer, the first thing that I do in the morning is pick up my phone. I'm not doing that anymore. The first thing that I do now is I pick up my phone to read the Bible, to read something uplifting from the spiritual word, the text. I read one scripture and I connect to God. I thank him to please, bless me. Thank him first for even allowing me to live one more day to get it right. And then I thank him and ask him to guide me for the rest of the day so I make the right decisions that not only bless me, but honor him and his name as his representative, I think in my past, I can only speak for myself. What I used to do is I used to make these decisions, and when they failed, I would go back to God and say, help me. No. But you want it to be grown and sexy and do all that other stuff on your own. And now you want me to clean up the mess. How about you come to me first and have a dialogue? Let's talk about it and I can guide you. So I started to have a real relationship with God and I started to let things go and control only the things that I can control that was within my power. I managed my expectation from other human beings and understood that they too had flaws. And that only came because as my relationship with God grew, my forgiving attitude started to grow as well. My patience with others started to grow. And I now enjoy being home and by myself. And it's okay if you don't like me. That's your right. And I don't put myself in any position that's going to take me back to this negative space. I can't go back there. I don't want to.
Okay. So, when we talked briefly the other day, you told me that you've been taking advantage of the lockdown and you've been doing some things for you as opposed to for everybody else, which is what you normally do. Can you just share with the audience a little bit about what you've been doing recently? Because I thought it was really cool.
I've had these, as kids, we have these things that we dream, we want to be, we want to do, and then we become adults and we get sidetracked by the kid dreams that we had. And that's because we're so worried about keeping up with the Joneses, paying that bill, that house, and whatever. So what I did was I stopped, connected with God, and then I started doing things that I wanted to do since childhood. So I started taking horseback riding lessons. Twice a week. Amazing. It's amazing.
Can you walk okay afterwards?
The what?
Can you walk okay afterwards?
Yeah.
Just checking.
It's been amazing to connect with another of God's creature, that you have to be kind to the horse. You have to guide it lovingly for it to do what you want so you don't hurt yourself. So for those 2 hours, my phone is off. I'm disconnected from everybody. And it will be there when I come back. And that's what I've started to do. I just signed up for swimming lessons, so I'm going to be doing that. I now only call the people that are going to make me feel good about myself or correct me when I need to be corrected, because I'm not perfect, and sometimes I'll get beside myself and I'm like, So I call the people that can check me in a minute, But I have started to get manicures and pedicures for myself, not doing it for people only, so that self-love and sitting down and being quiet in one place, being still.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, actually. Being still has been a big lesson for many of us. It was one of my real lessons for my journey that I've been on. And I just wanted to give you some feedback from the audience. Denise says, horses teach us many lessons.
Many. Denise, you hit it. Many lessons, patience, and not to push yourself more than you think you can, and to push yourself when you think you can't, so learning from another living thing, that's what I had to do. And in order for me to get the horse to do what I wanted, I need to be kind to it. And I had to be consistent, telling it what to do. And those were the things that I was lacking in my own life. I would start something and then jump to the other thing. And then I was like, oh my God, because when this frustrated me enough, I quit. I was like, nope, not happening.
Many of us are guilty of that. So many of us are guilty of that. And also, Yvonne is on the call tonight on the podcast tonight, and she wanted me to share this with you, that her daughter is studying fashion, branding, and design at university right now. And it's just disappeared. Where did it go? The comment? Okay, my daughter is studying fashion, branding, and design at uni right now. She's in her final year. Wish she could have tuned in tonight. She's writing about Black women in the industry, and the deadline is tomorrow. Otherwise, she would be here listening.
Okay, tell her she can email me and I can answer some questions. There's some amazing Black designers that you need to know about. And I have a list that we're working on. My team is actually working on honoring Black unknown designers that somehow were at the top of their game, but they faded away. Somehow they were completely wiped away. And so not even Black designers currently know, some of them, I shouldn't say, don't know who they are. So what we wanted to do with my team, with Carlton Jones, Mimi, and Shatrice, and they're helping me. And we just brought on another young man, Gregory, who's going to be helping us to bring this back. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is leave a legacy that will teach others that we were here and we were valued.
That's right. Ooh. And talk about value, I want to talk a little bit about the topic tonight, insecurity. And the reason I'm bringing it up just for you viewers, as I started the podcast, I said, for those of you that may or may not have heard it, that Myrdith is a force to be reckoned with. She's determined, she's tenacious, she just gets it done. Somebody says it can't be done, she's just like, I'm off to do it, I'll make it happen, don't worry about it. And I love that about her. So we were talking about that, and she said, well, I can be insecure at sometimes. And I was like, what? Who? How? And it's really important that you said that to me, because we all suffer from insecurity here and there. But to hear you forced to be reckoned with, not only to say that, but to be honest and vulnerable about it and share that with me, it's actually really beautiful. So I want to know if you can share with the audience what you define as insecurity for you.
So the question is, what was my insecurities, or how I navigated through it?
All of the above. Yeah.
So for me, my insecurities, the reason why I do so many things, is because I'm so insecure. And I'm not talking about insecure like I can't do it. It's because I doubt myself when somebody tells me I can't do it. So I flipped it around and say, well, why can't I do it? And now I have to look in myself and see why. Is it because I'm incapable of doing it, or because I don't want to do it, or is it because I'm lazy? And when I start asking myself these questions, I start to take away piece by piece whatever shell, whatever chip on my shoulder, whatever somebody told me no, away, so that I can tackle the next project. But insecurity can be dangerous if it's connected to jealousy and envy. Because now when you're insecurity, you tend to become a mean girl. You tend to become a mean boy, that you are now, your own insecurities causes you to hurt others people because you need to feel good about yourself. So you damage other people, not realizing that that's you. That's a reflection. You're deflecting, as my girlfriend Marsha Jews would say. You're deflecting. So you need to hurt somebody. You need to put somebody else down so you can feel good about yourself. So I check my insecurity. I check it to make sure that I don't use it as a stepping stone to hurt another human being.
And I always talk about that, excuse my language, but when people try to put their shit in my lap, I just give it right back.
Yeah. In fact, and I might just put it on a silver platter for you. Now take it.
Enjoy.
Take that with you.
Yeah, take that. Yeah, excuse me, you left something.
Exactly. Take your poo-poo with you.
So someone in the audience, Harley said, "Way to go, Myrdith. Great lesson."
Thank you. Oh, and that's because I surround myself with stronger women that, again, like I said before, check me in a minute. I don't want to be with anybody that's walking behind me and shoving my crap and putting roses on it. And so now I don't know that it stinks. No, girl, you're a mess. Go home. Go lay down. Take a nap. Come back later.
And I think we all need that core group of friends, right? Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4, but you've got your 4 girlfriends that you can go to, and maybe a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend in my group I can go to and be like, listen, I wasn't feeling good about this, or I said something, and they'll check me and be like, yeah, girl, you could have said that a little bit differently. You just kind of deliver that with like an axe, as opposed to the gentle, sweet, honey delivery that I normally have. So, but you shouldn't take yourself so far off that you now start second guessing yourself, and that's what happens. And you made a really good point. When other people are trying to tear you down, usually it's because they feel bad about themselves and they're trying to build themselves up. So if we remember that when somebody's attacking us, you have to question it. Are they really attacking me? Is it here? Is it just my emotion? Am I just feeling hurt? Or is it something really real? Like, what's going on? So you've got to, like you said, really examine that and peel back the layers. So that's really good to hear that from you. So, Myrdith, I'm going to ask you, during this time of COVID and, elections and 2020, year of change, what one thing would you impart to the audience about these challenging times? Like, you could share with them that you've maybe experienced or you've used as a way to get through it or manage it or support the people in your life. Do you have anything that you might want to share as a tip?
Like, what did I do during the time of COVID to get through it?
Yeah.
I sat.
Especially the days that are tough, because at the end of the day, many strong people like myself, we get through it. We have no problem get through it. But then there are days when you just, for whatever reason, you just can't do today. Right. And what do you do to keep yourself up to get through that tough day?
Wow. So for me, I'm always on the run. I'm always in another country, in another town, I'm out checking something, COVID forced me to sit still and think without all the noise. And then I looked at my finances, because one of the biggest things for divorce is finances and the lack of communication. That's one of the biggest things. And they're both connected. Either you're a big spender and you don't want to commit to it. You don't want to tell the truth and whatever else. But that started with as an individual. You as an individual had that problem. You just brought that baggage to you. So COVID made me sit down and clean my desk, clean my dirty drawers, and figure out what was wrong with my life that I couldn't get to the next stage. Then I made phone calls to people, and thank God my tenant that lives with me upstairs, he held me accountable. He said you wanted to do this. Sit still and do it. Manage it. What's your fear? Why are you not doing this? Didn't you said you had this? He made me put a timeline on things to get it done. So you need to have at least one or two people that's going to hold you accountable to completing the tasks that you need. I started to read more. I started to clean house, let people go that didn't deserve to be in my space. I started to fix myself and to be a better friend, to be a better mother, to be a better daughter. You know, I'm not there yet, but at least they're on my board of things to do. And then I looked at my business strategy and said, why isn't my business where it needs to be? And then I started to look at all the things that could be fixed so I can get it there. So during this COVID time, instead of looking at the rest of the world falling apart, I wanted to make sure that my house was in order so that when the rest of the world is falling apart, I can at least manage it. I won't be, on the edge myself falling apart,
Great advice. Great advice.
COVID for me, I enjoy being home. And look what we're doing now. We're still able to work and connect and do business with this. So finding another way to keep moving, my girlfriend Marsha says, keep it moving. What's next? Figure it out. Nothing is the end until God says it's the end.
That's right.
So get it popping. Get it popping.
Girl, get it popping. Oh, you're making me hungry. I'm going to have to wrap it up because we're almost at that time. It's been great. The last question, if there's anything else from the audience. So Michelle wants to know, Myrdith, how do you decide on the content you want in your magazine to keep it interesting and inspiring?
It's important to think of who your audience is or who you want to be your audience. So two ways. The existing audience, you have to keep them entertained, engaged. And then who else do you want to bring to the table? What are you going to create to entice them? So we look at that. I try not to look at my competitors at all because I'm not here to replace them. But what I do is create things based on what I'm hearing from my audience, and I'm always open to new suggestions, new ideas, and everything else. So I try my best to read every single email so I can hear what people are saying and what their need and what their questions are. Like we get emails from Iran and Pakistan, and Egypt saying, oh my God, I was inspired. I'm getting married and can you help me do this? And oh, this was great. I got my finances together. Can you come and plan my wedding? Can you come to my wedding? I've been invited to 3 weddings in Egypt. And I'm like, when can I get on a plane?
I love it. I love it. We're also hearing that we're brilliant. So thank you for that. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I missed. I don't think I missed anything else. You got lots of good comments, but guys, please feel free to continue to leave messages and things in the chat because when we're finished, we can still revisit it and answer them. And also, if you're loving Myrdith the way you are, then we're going to have to bring her back. So it's all good. It's all good. But Myrdith, I'm so glad that you mentioned comparison. Because you were saying, you don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're doing, you're doing your thing. And that's my signature question for each of my guests. So Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. Let me repeat that. Comparison is the thief of joy. So when we look at comparison, I think of comparison as being a negative. So if we were to make that a positive, and I was to ask you, what would you liken yourself to, Meredith? What would you like to, as opposed to compare yourself to?
I think a butterfly, you know, and we're not talking about the butterfly when it's beautiful and the wings are flourished and whatever, because that means at some point it's going to die. But because that's only a short window. But when it's in the cocoon and it's being molded and it's being getting ready to go out into the world and show the world what it's made of, its colors and everything else. And that's where sometimes, like, I feel like I'm in this cocoon. So if you don't see me, it's because I'm cooking something up. I'm creating something, or I'm allowing God to mold me into something that I need to be so that I'm useful and beautiful to the world. But at the same time, remember, there's butterfly catchers out there. If you're not careful, you will be caught by the wrong people, and your time here in this earth will be shorter than it needs to be, unnecessarily. So for me, the butterfly is a creature that I relate to because of the transition, the evolution, that it can start out one way, but it grows into something beautiful. And I feel everybody has that capacity. You could come out the worm and the ugly and all of that, but can you imagine when you become that butterfly?
Yeah.
The world wants you.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
And speaking of beauty, I mean, you are a vision of beauty, not just physically, but emotionally. Everything that you've done in your magazine is so beautiful. And if you know, guys, don't miss out. You see the website up here. Take a look. You're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away. She's done some amazing work.
But that's because of people like you who supported me and surrounded me, and you guys didn't let me fail. You guys didn't let me quit.
Sisterhood, we got to make that happen. And you know what?
And all of you guys were like, no, I got this. You can't do this. I'm here. I'm going here. I'm going to write an article. I'm going to do this, and allow people to come into your circle. So I think I am who I am because of you.
Oh, well, you know what? If we would all spread the love like this, what a great place this would be, right? Because
it would be amazing.
It would be so wonderful if we all just thought about, yeah, I'm doing me, but you know what? I got your back as well, and I've got your back, and that's so important. Meredith, we're at the end, but I just want you to know that some of the comments are, you know, Eva said that, wow, become that butterfly. I think she's already. And Dawn says that she loves your energy.
Oh, thank you.
Marley said she's loving this, and this is the empowerment that is much needed in my life.
Good, please take it all. Take it all. Take it all. We're supposed to give.
And Cynthia said, absolutely. The ladies thinking and talking and dreaming. And this is what I love about Meredith, everyone. You know, she as Gwen has said, you're beautiful, Meredith, but one of the things about I love that you dare to dream. And even when your dreams didn't feel like they were happening, maybe at the speed that you wanted it to, you just kept going. That's the tenacity I was talking about, you know, persistence and consistency, just continually doing it. And I think of you almost like a train sometimes, you know, slowing down, then getting that little buzz on, and then you start moving and, you know, and look at that poster behind you. That is, you know, World Bride magazine. It is
diversity at its finest. We had one young lady, she flew in from Japan to be on this cover.
Look at you.
I love the world. The world is beautiful. Can you imagine if the world was perfect? If we have so much beauty now and we're not perfect, can you imagine the world when we're perfect? To me, like, I think our human relationship, seeing value in another person, whatever I don't have, Michelle, you can give me. You can share with me.
And I think we're all perfect in our own divine light.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to be perfect for anybody else but ourselves.
Exactly.
you know, one of the things I always loved about America, and I have to share with the audience, you know, I used to say, there doesn't have to be anybody ugly in America, because if you want something you can buy, you need some lashes, you need some hair, you need some boobs, whatever you need, you can get hooked up. So don't worry about the superficial stuff, worry about the internal stuff. We can always hook up the outside. You can't hook up the inside unless you do it. You have to do the work.
Oh, that's it. You have to do the work.
You have to do the work. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. And that's been more than New York Minute.
Please come home sometimes.
I will. When they let us back on the plane, we're out of lockdown, I promise to come and we'll just do
and
our
I
thing.
miss you guys in England too. England is a home for me because that was my first trip by myself when I was 17 years old. So my love to England and everybody there.
Well, I'm going to send the love from everybody else. Thank you, Meredith.
And bye, everyone.
Thank you. And so, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been really, really wonderful having you. Please, if you have any other comments, Meredith will be checking in, taking a look, responding, letting you know any of her feedback. And I know definitely Yvonne, she's going to come back to you with some more details. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. And namaste.